1, 2, 3, sí, probando, probando. 1, 2, 3. Perfecto. Okay. So now you can hear me. So, we're going to start all over again. I don't like to start like this. So we are going to start all over again. So let me put the introduction once again. So now that you can hear me, Shabbat Shalom, welcome back to the Virtual House Church. It's a blessing to be here with all of you, despite the technical difficulties. And I see, the internet connection is not working in a perfect condition today. So I hope this is not gonna be a cause for interruption. If you see that this is not working fine, please let me know in your comments in the chat. But we are here to study the word of Yahuwah. So, we have so much power coming from Yahuwah that no technical interruption can stop us to study the word of Yahuwah. So just keep praying in your mind in order to have a good broadcast and a good study today. So it's my blessing, as I telling you, to be here because we are starting a new cycle, a cycle in an amazing book, the book of 1 Samuel. This is Shmuel Aleph in Hebrew. And this is an amazing book that we will see so many things going on that it will start clearing up somehow the plan of Yahuwah to his people, Israel, the plan of Yahuwah to the restoration of all things. And there are so many parallels that we will see in this book that I'm so excited to see what the Abba will teach us and will speak to us in this cycle. I really hope that you were all able to see the post that I put last night in the YouTube channel, where I published the portions for the coming weeks in this book. If you were not able to see it, let me show it here in the screen. So I'm still working on the different portions. So I just published, and let me make it bigger so it's gonna be much easier for you to see. So we already have at least 4 weeks, including this one, for the book of Samuel. For all of you that have been following the videos that I have been posted about the observing the luminaries this week, you can understand that this has been a really busy week for me, because not only tracking the luminary has been part of my activity this week, a lot of other stuff in my regular day has been happening. So I didn't have the time to put all the parashot together for the book of Samuel. But I'm working on it, and with my helper, trying to define what's the portion for the coming weeks. So we are reading all the book, and we are trying to portion the book in the way that we are feeling in our heart. So I know that some of you actually, if you are here, yes, I think I saw my brother over here. No, it's not here. But anyway, I received many emails in the last few weeks, and particularly one email was asking me and this was from Daniel actually. It was asking me about some chapters or some things about the book of Samuel, and I managed to see somebody, I don't remember who, in the chat that I was looking for. That is already well advanced in the coming chapter. That's good because we can have a very good interaction and good feedback, a good study all together in this book. So, if I don't manage to answer your email before the chapters, be sure that we are going to tackle some of the points that you wrote to me in the email in this coming weeks. So, take note of the parashot that we have over here. If not, I will send it to the moderators so they can post it maybe in the other sites. But if not, you already have it in the post in YouTube. So I will be completing the rest, and I will be updating this for you to have it and start preparing your own studies in this amazing book. So, Jake told me that he wasn't sure that he is going to be able to join us today. He was not going to. I think he had an issue with the computer, so he was visiting some family, I think. So he was not so sure to be able to join us today. But he did something for us that is quite amazing, and I want to share it with you. And actually, I have a surprise for you by the end of this broadcast. So just wait a minute. You will see. It's an amazing surprise. You will like it for sure. But what I want to do is to share with you, as I'm always doing it week by week, the Virtual House Church website, and I think it's something that I feel in my heart to do it every week because we have to do it. And to remember. And we will talk about remembrance today. To remember our dear brother Rob Skiba, that he was with his wife, Chile Skiba, the one starting the Virtual House Church, is what YaHuWaH put in his heart, and he started Virtual House Church back in 2012. And because of his obedience to YaHuWaH, we are all here. It's not because of me, it's not because of Jake, it's not because of anybody who has been joining Virtual House Church in the past. Is because of the obedience of Rob Skiba that he felt in his heart that YaHuWaH was guiding him to initiate this ministry and to initiate this project. And because of that obedience, and we have been speaking so much about obedience in the last few months, I would say, we are all here and we have our Virtual House Church that is so a gathering so beautiful that we are able to join Shabbat after Shabbat in order to partake, at least virtually, on studying the word of YaHuWaH. And not only studying, you can understand that I don't have the chance while I'm speaking to take a look in the chat. I don't have that ability yet. But I know sometimes after the broadcast, I take a look in the chat, in the live chat. And I know that, the interaction that you all have in the chat is so wonderful. And this is something that should fill our heart, that we have the chance to partake with one another. Maybe you don't have, and some of you doesn't have the opportunity to meet somebody and some brother or sister face to face. I have known about this situation when I am receiving some emails from you all, that brothers and sisters out there that doesn't have the possibility to meet others face to face. And the only fact to have this opportunity to partake virtually in the chat, knowing that there's somebody else in the other part of the connection that is believing in the similar way that I'm believing, trusting in YaHuWaH, this is something that should fill our heart, that we are all together, we are echad in the Ruach of Elohim, we are echad in Mashiach Yahushua in these times. So, we need to keep the remembrance of the obedience of Rov, Sheila, that because of them we are here, and we need to remember that they initiated Virtual House Church, and we need to take advantage of all the information that has been gathered here throughout the years, and that is for our own benefit. It's for our own benefit in order to grow in knowledge of the truth of Yahuwah, in order to grow in knowledge to continue this walk that is leading us to one specific place. And you know what that place is? This, the kingdom of Yahuwah here on earth, by the hand of Yahushua HaMashiach. So, I will invite you, as I'm doing it week after week, to go to the site, to browse all the information that is over here, and also to share this information with more people. So, the surprise that I have here, and this is thanks to Sheila, that Jake was talking about this last week, and also to Jake, that he put some time apart in order to do this work. And if you go to the new site of the Virtual House Church, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you remember last year, Rob started to update the new framework and the new face of Virtual House Church. And how to get there, actually, if you click in one of the Torah cycles here, for example, I just click in the week 15 of Exodus, you will go to the new site. And actually, if you want to go to the new site directly, instead of going to virtualhousechurch.com, you can go to VHC, as you can see here in the screen. And let me copy and paste on the chat. This one. You can go to bhc.ephraimimawakening.com, and you will go to the new site of Virtual House Church. Both of them are working together and connected together. But the good thing is that in this site, what Jake did for all of us is you go to the left, in the column of the left, and you go to this tab, this week study, this one over here, you can see in the screen. Just click there, and we will find, everything that we have been studying so far. Are all the videos collected all together here in the Virtual House Church website on the studies of the book of Joshua, the one that we already did. So you can click over there and you will find, let me thinking, so it's here. You will find the portions that we have for the book of Joshua that we were studying, the book of Yahushua in Hebrew, and also all the videos that we had in the previous broadcast when we were studying this book are here. So Jake is still working on updating the book of Judges. It's not available yet, but it's gonna be exactly the same. So I'm gonna ask you to share this information with more people, and also I'm gonna ask our great moderators that maybe they can share this information also in the Discord server or any other place that people are able to see and to get into contact, that this information is over there. And you can expect that, as soon as we are continuing with the Virtual House Church, and we are moving on with the book of Samuel, that this is going to be also over there. Let me read just this one from Annie. I see how Yahuwah has given Brother Juan Carlos so much energy. Hallelujah, even after all the early AMs. That's so true, Annie. And this week has been so exhausted. Even today, I was waking up really early in order to see the luminaries. But, I'm not going to speak about the luminaries and about the calendar here in the Virtual House Church. But I'm planning to update, a video tomorrow. I don't know if it's gonna be a live stream or maybe a video that I'm gonna record with more information and my final thoughts on what happened this year. But I have a video that I'm going to be uploading today with the results of the luminaries yesterday. So I didn't have the chance to do it today, but it's coming after Virtual House Church broadcast. So yeah, it's good that Yahuwah is giving me energy. It should be totally different, but Shabbat is so amazing. That Shabbat is the restoration of energy. Shabbat is restoration of our mind, our hearts, and also our smiles. So before the further delay, and let me see if I'm forgetting something on what I needed to say. No, I think we are good. So, before that we always do, and before starting the portion, let me share a song with you that I like it so much, and I think somehow it's connected with the portion that we are going to read today. And if it's not connected in the words, at least in the video that this sister recorded in the video, somehow it invites us to use our mind and to imagine how was the situation of Hannah. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to read the chapter 1 and the chapter 2. So, but let me share this song with you. So let me see that this is the proper one. Yes, this is the proper one. So here we go.
תן בי את שוכחך, תן בי את כוח דברך, מלא אותי, מלא אותי. תן בי את שוכחך, תן בי את כוח דברך, מלא אותי, מלא אותי. אני יכול לפני כס אלוהים, הרומם את שמך מעל כל שם. אין כמוך אדוני באלים, מלא
That's a very beautiful song, as I told you. It's somehow connected to the portion today. I just noticed, that the subtitles didn't appear on the screen, but if you go to the link that I shared in the chat, you will go to the directly where is the song is in YouTube, and you will see it with the lyrics. But just to share some of them with you, it says, "Put the fire of your spirit upon me. Place the power of your word within me. Fill me, fill me. I will bow down before the throne of Elohim. I will lift your name above all names. There is none like you, Yahuwah." So we know that He is the one to be praised, and we need the fire of the Ruach HaKodesh. We need the fire of the Ruach of Elohim in our hearts. And, it's through Yahushua that everything is possible. He is the one that He gave His life on the tree in order to give us this opportunity to even be here, studying His word, studying, about the kingdom of Yahuwah, to prepare ourselves in order to inherit all those promises. So, with this spirit, I will invite you to close your eyes, to lift your hands to the heaven, and let's pray together to Yahuwah. Yahuwah Eloheinu, we want to give thanks to you in this moment, in this day, in this new Shabbat, because it's because of your compassion, your love for us, that we are able to be here once again with the desire in our heart to praise you and worship you, with the desire in our heart to study your word. We want to grow in knowledge, not because of pride. It's because we want to please you, and we want to be like you. We want to walk in your ways of righteousness, following the path and the steps of Yahushua HaMashiach. And we know that in your word we find the truth. So in this moment, we ask for your wisdom, that you can open our eyes, you can open our ears, you can open our mind to your wisdom and to your understanding, to your knowledge. In this moment, we feel our heart full of joy because we have the opportunity to be a Chad before you, because we have the opportunity to be together here, at least virtually, feeling this love that you have put in our heart, no matter the place we are, no matter the location in this earth that you created that belongs to you. It doesn't matter the distance, It's in our heart, Abba. It's in our heart that we feel that love that you have put it. And that love is what connects us all to you through Yahushua HaMashiach. Abba, we ask you that you can listen to our voice in this moment. We ask you that your presence be with us, that your Ruach can fill us this day. We want to give thanks because through your covenant and your commandments, we are Kodesh, and we are a special people to you. Guide us every day of our lives, Abba. Guide our steps in order to be like you. I pray in this moment, Abba, for anybody that is going through sickness or difficulties, that you can go to the place where they are, that you can go with your healing hand, that you can bring healing, that you can bring peace, that you can bring shalom, that you can bring joy. We trust in you, and we put our trust and our hope in you day by day. And we know that you are not a man to lie, that if you say something and you promise something, you will do it. And there are so many promises in your word that we hold on to those ones, believing in you and trusting in you. Abba, guide us in these times of troubles. Guide us in your Ruach in order to be always pointing to the north, to the kingdom, to your righteousness, and to speak with your truth in these times of so many lies, and to bring your light in this time of darkness. Thank you, Abba, for listening to our prayers. Thank you for being with us. We feel your presence within us. and we know that your Ruach is with us. Thank you, Abba, and we pray to you in this moment. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Amen. Okay, so before we start, brothers and sisters, there is something that I forgot and is important. I know that I saw in the chat that many were asking about that the Virtual House Church started 1 hour later. And last week I was talking about the DST change in the US. Jake and I, we decided, and I hope this is going to be okay for all of you that are joining week by week, to keep it 1 hour later for those of you that are joining from the US. You know, here in my country and in this side of the world, we have not changed DST yet. So the idea is to keep it 1 hour later for all of you that are joining from the US. The idea is to see if we can have more time maybe to study the word or to do something even more in Virtual House Church if we have the space to do it later for those of you that are joining from the US. So expect for next weeks until new notice that if you're joining from any part of the US, it's going to be 1 hour later as the usual time. So it's not because I forget about the DST. I remember the DST. What I forgot is to let you know before starting. But that's the reason behind. So, you know, let's go to the word. Let's study what is bringing today this portion, this amazing portion of Samuel. So let me put the scripture on the screen. So there we have. So, you know, since I'm running solo today, what I'm going to do is what we used to do is to read the chapter. And then I'm going to share my insights with you on some of the points that I believe are really important. So here we go. It says, starting on the verse 1, and there was a certain man of Ramatayim, Thophin, of the mountains of Ephraim, and his name was Elkanah, son of Jeroham, son of Elihu, son of Tohu, son of Suf, an Ephraimite. And he had 2 wives. The name of one was Hannah, and the name of the other Peninnah. And Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children. Now this man went up from his city year by year to worship and to slaughter to Yahuwah Sebaot in Shiloh. And the 2 sons of Eli, Hobni and Pinchas, the Kohanim, the priests of Yahuwah, were there. And when the day came for Elkanah to make a slaughtering, he gave portions to Peninnah, his wife, and to all her sons and daughters. But although he loved Hannah, he gave only 1 portion to Hannah, because Yahuwah had shut up her womb. Moreover, her rival also provoked her greatly to make her irritable, because Yahuwah had shut up her womb. And so he did, year by year. Whenever she went up to the house of Yahuwah, she was provoked, so that she wept and did not eat. And this is so relevant to what we are going to share later, you know, this confrontation, some kind of confrontation. But we will speak about it in a moment. Let's continue. And her husband Elkanah, in the verse 8, and her husband Elkanah said to her, Hannah, why do you weep? Why do you not eat? And why is your heart sad? Am I not better to you than 10 sons? And Hannah rose up after eating and drinking in Shiloh, while Eli the priest was sitting on the seat by the doorpost of the Hechal of Yahuwah. This is the tabernacle. And she was bitter in life, and prayed to Yahuwah and wept greatly. And she made a vow and said, O Yahuwah Sebaot, Yahuwah of hosts, if you would indeed look on the affliction of your female servant, and remember me, and not forget your female servant, but shall give your female servant a male child, then I shall give him to Yahuwah all the days of his life, and let no razor come upon his head. And it came to be, as she kept on praying before Yahuwah, that Eli was watching her mouth. And Hannah spoke in her heart. Only her lips moved, but her voice was not heard. So Eli thought she was drunk. Then Eli said to her, "How long are you going to be drunk? Put your wine away from you." And Hannah answered and said, "No, my master, I am a woman pained in spirit, and I have drunk neither wine nor strong drink, but have poured out my being before Yahuwah. Do not take your female servant for a daughter of Belial, for it is out of my great concern and provocation that I have spoken until now." And Eli answered and said, "Go in peace, and the Elohim of Israel give you your petition which you have asked of him." And she said, "Let your female servant find favor in your eyes." And the woman went her way and ate, and her face was no more sad. And they rose up early in the morning and worshipped before Yahuwah, and returned and came to their house at Ramah. And Elkanah knew Hannah, his wife, and Yahuwah remembered her. And it came to be at the turn of days that Hannah conceived and bore a son, and called his name Samuel, because I have asked Yahuwah for him. And the man Elkanah and all his house went up to slaughter to Yahuwah the yearly slaughtering and his vow. But Hannah did not go up, for she said to her husband, "When the child is weaned, then I shall take him, and he shall appear before Yahuwah and remain forever there." And her husband Elkanah said to her, "Do what is good in your eyes. Remain until you have weaned him. Only let Yahuwah establish his word." And the woman remained and nursed her son until she had weaned him. And when she had weaned him, she took him up with her, with 3 bulls, and 1 ephah of flour, and a skin of wine, and brought him to the house of Yahuwah in Shiloh. And the child was young. And they slew a bull, and brought the child to Eli. And she said, "O my master, as your being lives, my master, I am the woman who stood by you here, praying to Yahuwah. I prayed for this youth, and Yahuwah has granted me what I asked of him. For I have also loaned him to Yahuwah. All the days that he lives, he shall be loaned to Yahuwah," and he worshipped there before Yahuwah. So this is, a so beautiful story, and in many aspects. But the only fact that Yahuwah was answering a prayer in this way, and the vow that Hannah was doing with Yahuwah, is something that it teaches a lot of things that we can apply it in our own lives. And also, it gives us a glimpse of what it means to put Torah in practice. One of the things that it's important to highlight here is that Hannah did a vow to Yahuwah. And this is exactly what we have in study in previous portions, in the book of Joshua, in the book of Judges, and we were studying this in the cycles of Bamidbar, Numbers, that how important is the vows before Yahuwah. Everything that's going out from our mouth is important. And if we make an oath, and if we promise something, Yahuwah is expecting that we are going to walk the talk, that we are going to fulfill what we committed to do. And this is exactly what we see here happening. And Hannah making a promise to Yahuwah in this kind of request, And this is something that also is important for us to remember, that this is a tremendous example for us if we are going through some request or some need to Yahuwah, is that we can take advantage of this. And we have been seeing this example in many other forefathers, that they are requesting something to Yahuwah, but they're also offering something. It's in the two ways direction. We request something to Yahuwah, but we also are able to offer something. It could be an offering, but it could be a vow, a promise. And it's so amazing to see how Yahuwah answered this prayer from Hannah, and she fulfilled that promise. And it's speaking to us about the heart of Hannah, and it's given us an example of what should be our heart. A heart according to Yahuwah, in the same way that David was before Yahuwah. We will study about David in the same book. So, one thing that I want to highlight here, before continuing, is that Hannah was going through difficulties, and we saw in the first few passages, and this is something that had been in my mind for a while already, and I would like to study it in more depth. Is that it says that Hannah was bitter in spirit. She was in pain in spirit. And it is written over here. Let me go to the verse. When she was praying, and it says here in the verse 10, and she was bitter in life, and prayed to Yahuwah and wept greatly. She had a great sorrow. She was bitter in life. And the way that she described this, when Eli approached her, when he thought that she was drunk, and the way that Hannah answered is something that speak to me, and is connected to what had been my thought in the last few weeks. And what is it about? It's in the verse 15. And Hannah answered and said, "No, my master, I am a woman pained in spirit." So the way that Hannah is describing the sorrow that she's going through, that is so deep inside, that the pain is in her spirit. And the thought that has been in my mind, and I hope to study this in more details, is about the battle. The battle is in our mind. Decisions are within us. And this is so applicable and spoke about in the scripture in different places. That, sin, when sin is conceived, and we were studying this a few weeks ago, everything started in the heart. From the heart is coming the evil thoughts. And when Moshe was talking about that we have two options, two ways, and Yahushua was speaking about the same. We have the way of life or blessing, and the way of curses and death. We need to understand that decision, no matter that we are going to put into practice and experience in a practical way Torah, the decision about what way we are going to take is an internal decision. It's in our mind, it's in our heart. So the spiritual battle that is happening every day, until lately is happening even more bigger, is started internally. And that battle is in our mind. And how that battle is in our mind? With our thoughts. So, can you imagine in this case, Hannah had a very difficult situation. And, for her was very difficult to maybe to renew her mind, because the situation that she was going through and the persecution she was facing was year after year. And that was deepening the sorrow and the bitterness she had. But at the end was something internal and spiritual fight. And there are a few passages then in the scripture that I want to talk about that, because if we are pain in the spirit, we have that pain in the spirit, and it could be, we can reflect ourselves in Hannah for a moment, and in different aspects of our life. Maybe you are going through some difficulties. Maybe you are going through some financial issues. Maybe you are going through some sickness in your own life or within your family. We can go through difficult situations. In this case, Hannah was going through a specific situation. But this is totally applicable to what she faced to what we can be facing. And if we understand that this is a spiritual battle, we can connect some dots with the scripture. So let me share with you first what is written in the book of Ephesians. And you will understand better what I'm trying to share with you on the inside, what I got. So let's go to the book of Ephesians chapter 4, verse 17. And we're going to read from the 17 to the 32. And it says the following. So this I say, and witness in the Master, that you should no longer walk as the nations walk, in the futility of their mind, having been darkened in their understanding, having been estranged from the life of Elohim, because of the ignorance that is in them, because of the hardness of their heart, who having become callous, having themselves up to indecency, to work all uncleanness with greediness. But you have not learned Messiah, Mashiach, if indeed you have heard him and were taught by him, as truth is in Yahushua, that you put off with regard to your former behavior the old man, being corrupted according to the desires of the deceit. And this is important, and to be renewed in the spirit of your mind, and that you put on the renewed man, which was created according to Elohim, in righteousness and set apartness of the truth. Therefore, having put off the false, speak the truth, speak one with his neighbor, for we are members of one another. Be wroth, but do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your rage, nor give place to the devil. Let him who stole steal no more, but rather let him labor, working with his hand what is good, so that he has someone to share with those in need. Let not corrupt word come out of your mouth, but only such as is good for the use of building up, so as to impart what is pleasant to the hearers. And do not grieve the set-apart spirit of Elohim, by whom you were sealed for the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and displeasure and uproar and slander be put away from you along with all evil, and be kind toward one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, as Elohim also forgave you in Messiah. So, why I'm bringing this up, we are being called to renew our mind, to get rid of the old behaviors, to get rid of the old man, of the old woman, and to renew our mind. And what it means to renew our mind, and I see so many connections to what Hannah did. She was going through a difficult situation until she remembered that she has an Elohim, an amazing Elohim. She renewed her mind. And she decided, even we see this happening in the way she answered Eli. Eli thought that she was drunk, but she answered in the proper way, forgiving with kind words, renewing her mind. So what I want to share with you, and this is what I felt when I was reading this, is that if you are going through a similar situation, remember that this is a spiritual battle. No matter that we see it happening in the physical, in the same way that was happening for Hannah, we need to fight it in the spiritual. And the spiritual meaning that the first step that we need to do is we need to renew our mind. And by renewing our mind, we need to get to the understanding of how to receive that healing. And there are so many passages that I want to share with you today about that, about what Hannah did. But before that, we need to remember that what Yahushua said. Let me go back, just to reinforce the idea that this is a spiritual battle that is starting in our mind, and that battle is in our mind. So let me go to the book of Matthew, chapter 15, verse 19 to 20. And we read this a few weeks ago. And it says the following, and Mashiach was speaking about, for out of the heart comes forth wicked reasoning, murders, adulteries, whoring, theft, false witnesses, slander. This defile the man, but to eat with unwashed hands does not defile the man. So we know, and Yahushua gave some few examples here. There are many things that are coming from heart. So if we give our heart in the same way that Hannah gave her heart to Yahuwah, the renewal of our mind will come. Yahuwah will help us to renew our mind and to have that spiritual battle and win that spiritual battle. So what Hannah did, and just to take advantage of her example, she decided to go to Yahuwah. She decided to go and pray to Yahuwah. And that's why I like it so much when I saw the video of the song that I was sharing with you. Because, no matter that she didn't have the chance to go that close, because the only one that was able to go closer to the presence of Yahuwah in the Kodesh HaKodeshim, in the Holy of Holies, was the Kohen HaGadol, the high priest. She went to the tabernacle because she was looking and seeking the face of Yahuwah. And in our times we have so much a blessing, because we are the temple of the Ruach HaKodesh. We are the temple of Elohim. And through Yahushua, we have access to the presence of Yahuwah. So, in the same way that Hannah was going to the tabernacle to pray to Yahuwah, if we are going through difficulties, we need to remember, as part of the renewal of our mind, that we need to go and pray to Yahuwah, because it's so good. Let's read it again, because it's so interesting and wonderful what she did. And Hannah rose up after eating and drinking in Shiloh, while Eli the priest was sitting on the seat by the doorpost of the Hechal. She was bitter in life and prayed to Yahuwah and wept greatly. And she made a vow and said of Yahuwah Sebaot, if you would indeed look on the affliction of your female servant, and remember me, and not forget your female servant, but shall give your female servant a male child, then I shall give him to Yahuwah all the days of his life. And let no razor come upon his head. So she went to pray to Yahuwah. She went to seek the face of Yahuwah. And if we go to the book of Psalms, the book of Tehillim, we found this written in the chapter 55, verse 22. And this is exactly what we need to remember. This is what Hannah knew as well. And it says the following. This is Yahuwah, what Yahuwah is giving us as an opportunity. Cast your burden on Yahuwah and let him sustain you. He never allows the righteous to be shaken. Cast your burden on Yahuwah and let him sustain you. He never allows the righteous to be shaken. We know that this is exactly what happened to Hannah. And if it happened to Hannah, it could happen to you, it could happen to me. We just need to renew our mind. When we're going through those difficulties, sometimes, we get so confused and get so much into the problem, and we are getting caught into the problem and the difficulties that we are going through, that we tend to forget that we have an amazing Elohim, the creator of the heaven and the earth, that he is there for us. The only thing that he's asking is for us to get closer to him. In the same way that Hannah was getting closer to him, the only thing that he's asking and waiting for us is that we are waiting for him, that we are asking him to help us, to cast our burden on him, because he will sustain us. He will sustain and support the righteous. And the good thing is that we see this happening all over again and all over the place. And even Yahushua HaMashiach was saying exactly the same in the book of Matthew. Let's go to Matthew chapter 11, verse 28 to 30th. And it says the following, and this is so amazing. It's, I felt the need to share this with you because I know that we are going through so difficult times. Persecutions in different ways. And it's important that we need to understand that we need to renew our mind, that we have been called to be different, that we have been called to remember Yahuwah Elohim, that to remember that we are children of Elohim, that our all behavior, as Paul was writing about, should be part of the past. that the new way of thinking, it should be like the thinking of Yahuwah, like a children of Elohim. And even Yahushua himself was speaking about the same, inviting us, saying, "Come to me, all you who labor and are burdened, and I shall give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am meek and humble in heart, and you shall find rest for your beings. For my yoke is gentle and my burden is light." So we have this amazing Mashiach, Yahushua, that he's there to help us on the way. I always, when I read this, I picture this passage in the same way that when he was carrying the tree or the cross, if you will. And when he was in the way, Simon, and he was not able to take it further, there was a person there helping him to carry on the burden. He's doing exactly the same for us. When we are almost falling down and we are at the floor. My wife was telling me, now that I remembered when we were studying this before, a phrase that she spoke with somebody, a believer, a long time ago. The phrase was like this: we can find Elohim in the floor of the bathroom. And what is it about? That was somebody speaking of having some health problems, that was fainting and going to the floor of the bathroom. And in those times of difficulties, in those times of trials, in those times of persecution, when we are down in the floor, we're able to find Elohim as well. Elohim is there for us if we are seeking with all our heart. So, it was prophesied, and this is exactly what Yahushua is doing for all of us. And I have been speaking about this, and I told you this in the past. I was a bit touched on what Rob was speaking about in the last Take of the World conference. And he said that my people need healing. And I do believe that we need healing. But in order to receive healing, we need to understand first what I'm talking about, that we need to renew our mind. Healing is coming from within first. Even if we're going through physical illness, even if we are going through physical issues, or even if we are going through external situations, the most important thing is to receive first the internal healing. We need to heal heart and mind, because from the heart is coming the evil thoughts. This is what Yahushua said. But it's also, we have the fruit of the spirits that are coming from within if we are renewed in Yahuwah. So we need to seek for that inner healing coming from Yahuwah himself, in order to, as soon as we have that inner healing, we are going to be able to shine in the same way that Moshe was shining when he was coming down from Mount Sinai, in the same way that Yahushua was shining, in the Mount of Transfiguration. Because, at the moment that we are healed internally, we're going to be able to be restored in order to fulfill the purpose that Yahuwah has put in our heart. And, Hannah did exactly what we need to do, is to seek for that healing directly from Yahuwah. The cause of the issues she had is that she didn't have a son. She was barren. And she was being persecuted, by the other wife of Elkanah. So she was sad in the spirit. She needed inner heal. She needed her heart to be bound up, to be healed. And the only one that can do that is Yahuwah Elohim. Let's go to the book of Malachi. This is Malachi. chapter 4, verse 1 and 2. And it says, For look, the day shall come, burning like a furnace, and all the proud and every wrongdoer shall be stubble, and the day that shall come shall burn them up, said Yahuwah Sebaot, which leaves to them neither root nor branch. But to you who fear, and listen this, but to you who fear my name, the Son of Righteousness shall arise with healing in his wings, and you shall go out and leap for joy like calves from the stall. But to you who fear my name, the Son of Righteousness shall arise with healing in his wings. Who is that Son of Righteousness? Let's go to the book of Yeshayahu, Isaiah, chapter 61, verse 1 to 3. The Ruach of the Master Yahuwah is upon me, because Yahuwah has anointed me to bring good news to the meek. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim release to the captives, and the opening of the prison to those who are bound, to proclaim the acceptable year of Yahuwah, and the day of vengeance of our Elohim, to comfort all who mourn, to appoint unto those who mourn in Zion, to give them embellishment for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. And they shall be called trees of righteousness and planting of Yahuwah to be adorned. The one that is bringing healing is Yahushua HaMashiach. So if we are going through some difficulties, we need to understand, and we need to follow the example of Hannah. We need to seek the face of Yahuwah, and we are going to receive that healing directly in our spirit. And we see that happen exactly in Hannah. Let's go back to the chapter 1. Because, after she was praying to Yahuwah, it's so amazing what happened. Because, she had this interaction with Eli. Eli understood what was going on, that she was not wrong. He understood the Kohen in this time. He understood that she was a woman in pain that was going with a bitter, she was with a bitter heart. And Eli answered and said, Go in peace, and the Elohim of Israel give you your petition which you have asked of him. And listen to this. And she said, Let your female servant find favor in your eyes. And the woman went her way and ate, and her face was no more sad. It's just for us to make the decision, and I know it's not easy. I struggle day by day, I can tell you. And, my family can tell you even more, better than me. Time to time, I struggle so much, in my day-to-day. I'm going from one difficulty to the other difficulty. But I can tell you this by experience. Everything is here. The spiritual battle is here and here. And it's up to us to decide that we are going to cast that burden in Yahuwah. It's up to us to decide that we are going to continue in that problem, or we were going to continue looking and seeking the face of Yahuwah to get that healing. Because as soon as we decide to go that way of seeking the face of Yahuwah, what's happening to us is exactly what happened to Hannah. That the sadness in our face will be no more. Doesn't mean that tomorrow is going to be all happiness and we are going to continue on the same and no more difficulties will come. Not at all. But when we learn that we have an amazing Elohim there to bring healing, no matter what other difficulties will come on time, we know the recipe. We know that every time that we are going through difficulties, even going to the floor, that we need to seek the face of Yahuwah, and He will bring healing, and He will change our mourning into dancing, our sadness into joy. So, I think that was the main thing that I felt with you to share today, because I know that we are going through those difficulties. One additional thing that I saw here that I think is important to compare, and sometimes it's something that we react in a human way in the old behavior, and it's in the way that Eli reacted. Eli reacted thinking that Hannah was drunk. And actually, she was so bitter. And the way that he answered her was not with compassion, we can say. And actually, I was when we were discussing here at home, I made this comment, and we will study this in the coming chapters, that maybe this is one of the reasons of the behavior of the sons of Eli and the destiny of what happened with the house of Eli later on. Because what he said, is how long are you going to be drunk? He saw something and he judged based on what he saw. And then he was saying, put your wine away from you, instead of trying to understand what was the whole situation. You know what? When I see this, I don't see compassion. And there is a good example and a similar example that we see here happening in the book of James YaHuWaH. And I want to share this with you because, again, it's speaking to us about how to renew our mind and to get rid of the old behaviors. And we need to judge, as Yahushua said, with a righteous judgment. And how to judge with a righteous judgment is when we learned the right rulings of Yahuwah, the mishpatim of Yahuwah in his Torah, in his truth. So let me share this with you. It's in the book of James. I think I put some notes here. Let me see. Yes, it's in the book of James YaHuWaH in Hebrew chapter 2, verse 1 to 7. And it says the following: My brothers, do not hold the belief of our Master Yahushua HaMashiach, the Master of Steam, with partiality. For if there should come into your meeting place a man with gold rings in a splendid robe, and there should also come in a poor one dressed in rags, and you pay attention to the one wearing the splendid robe, and say to him, you sit here in a good place, and say to the poor one, you stand there, or sit there by my feet. Have you not discriminated among yourselves, and become judges with wicked thoughts? Listen, my beloved brothers, has Elohim not chosen the poor of this world, rich in belief and heirs of the reign which he promised to those who love him? But you have shown disrespect towards the poor man. Do not the rich oppress you and drag you into the courts? Do they not blaspheme that good name by which you are called? If you truly accomplish the sovereign law according to the scripture, you shall love your neighbor as yourself, you do well. But if you show partiality, you commit sin, being found guilty by the Torah's transgressors. So, I'm going to keep it until there. We see something similar happening in the example that James YaHuWaH is bringing here. We cannot have partiality. We cannot judge wrongly. In this case, we see somebody that is getting closer to Yahuwah, somebody that is having the heart to seek the face of Yahuwah. We need to act as Yahushua did, with a compassionate eye, in order to help those that are coming. He was telling the Pharisees, I remember, that a one that is not sick doesn't have a need of a doctor. This is what he said. I think it's written like that. I'm coming for those that are in sickness, those that are sick, those that are alone, those that are sinners, are coming to them in order to show them the way back, the way of righteousness, the way of truth. So I wanted to mention this because, in those little examples, we see as well something that is important for us to put into practice. If we see somebody in need, if we see somebody going through some difficulties, we need to pray for them. We need to judge with righteous judgment. And we need to open the door for those that are looking and seeking Yahuwah. There's so much need in the world today. And it's so sad because people don't realize that they need Yahuwah. Society today don't realize that they need the creator of the heaven and the earth. And they are going through so much pain. They are going through so much lies, so much difficulties, and so much darkness. But unfortunately, they are blind and they don't realize what they need. So how we are going to act in that situation? Are we going to judge them? Or where are we going to look into them with a compassionate eye? What if we see somebody of them going through difficulties? It's not the time to go to them and to show them the way back to Elohim and to show the way out of their situations. That is Yahuwah. That's why I wanted to talk about this point, because I see that behavior happening in Eli. It's good that, in this case, Hannah had a renewed mind. Because, my wife was telling me that in any other situation, maybe Hannah was taking her stuff and going away. She was being treated like that. But she was, with a tender-hearted. She was tender-hearted. She was with a renewal mind. And she answered properly to Kohen Gadol. And because of that, Eli understood that she wasn't a daughter of Elial, as she said. That's the way we need to act. That's the way of a children of Elohim needs to act. So, something else that was important to me on this passage, and I'm gonna keep in the something very important till the end, is that Hannah, in her prayer, did something that is really important. Let me go back to the verse 1. And it's something that if we are not doing it, I do believe that we need to do it. And actually, the whole story of Hannah is for me, it's a foreshadow of something even bigger. And I will share this in a moment. And this transformation from a bitter heart, from sadness to joy, is a foreshadow of something bigger that is for you and for me. And I'm going to speak about this in a minute. So be patient with me. So, she did something that is important. And let me go again to what she said in the chapter 1. Here in the verse 11, and she made a vow and said, O Yahuwah Sebaot, if you would indeed look on the affliction of your female servant, and listen to this, and remember me, and not forget your female servant, but shall give your female servant a male child, then I shall give him to Yahuwah all the days of his life, and let no razor come upon his head. Before going directly to the point that I want to make, there's something in addition that is really important. And I remember, 20 years ago, even more, my father was talking to me about that. And I think it's something that we need to learn. Hannah was very specific in her prayer. She didn't ask to get, to have offspring. She didn't ask something generic. She was very specific. She said she wanted a male child. So can you imagine that, if our kids are coming to us and asking something that, is so generic that we don't understand what they want, it's going to be very difficult to us to give them to them and to help them. It's the same with our Abba. If we are not specific in our prayers, if we don't ask him exactly what we need, it's going to be very difficult for him to understand what is in our heart. He knows what is in our heart. He knows everything, but he's waiting and expecting us to tell him what is in our heart. So we need to follow the example of Hannah. And every time that you are praying, you need to pray and you need to ask Abba in a very specific way. What is in your heart? You need to pour it out in the same way that Hannah did it, your heart to Yahuwah. And you need to be very specific on what you need and what you want to ask Abba. So that's an important point that I didn't remember. I forgot to mention before. But the point that I wanted to make before is that Hannah was asking Yahuwah to remember her. How many times have you asked Yahuwah to remember you? I can tell you for my side, I think I'm not doing it so often. If I record my prayers, I'm not asking Abba to remember me. And this is so important because we see so many examples in the scriptures of people and servants of Yahuwah asking Abba to remember them. And let me give you some examples. Let's go to the book of Tehillim, Psalms, chapter 25, verse 6 and 7. It says the following: Remember, O Yahuwah, your compassion and your loving commitments, for they are from everlasting. Do not remember the sins of my youth and my transgression. According to your loving commitment, remember me, for your goodness' sake, O Yahuwah. So in this beautiful prayer, at the end, the psalmist is asking, remember me. Yahuwah, please remember me. Remember your covenant and remember me. I'm your son. Help me. Let's go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 38. I'm looking down because I have my notes here. Verse 3, this is Hizkiyahu, the king Hizkiyahu, Hezekiah, I think is in English. Verse 3 says the following: He was in the moment of pain, and he was dying, and he was praying to Yahuwah the following, and said, I pray, O Yahuwah, please remember how I have walked before you in truth and with a perfect heart, and have done what is good in your eyes. And Hizkiyahu wept bitterly. It's not bad, it's not wrong if we ask Yahuwah to remember us. If they did it, if our forefathers did it, because of something, I think Yahuwah is asking, because this is working in two directions, he's asking us to remember him. And we have been speaking about this for so long here in Virtual House Church, that he's asking us to remember him day by day. But he's also wanting to remember us. That's why, in our prayers, in your prayers, we need to ask Abba to remember his people, to remember his city, Jerusalem, to remember his people, Israel, to remember us as an individual child of Yahuwah. We need to pray to him, ask him to remember us. And I think, there's something like this in the book of Tehillim, chapter 20. Let me read it just to see what is it about. In the verse, let's read it all together because it's nine verses. It says the following: Yahuwah does answer you in the day of distress. The name of the Elohim of Yaakov does set you on high. He does send you help from the set-apart place, and does uphold you from Zion. He does remember all your offerings, and does accept your ascending offerings, Selah. He does give you according to your heart, and fills all your plans. We sing of your deliverance, and in the name of our Elohim we set up our banner. Yahuwah does fill all your requests. Now, I know that Yahuwah shall save his anointed. He answers him from his set-apart heavens, with the saving might of his right hand. Some trust in chariots, and some in horses, but we remember the name of Yahuwah Eloheinu. But they have bowed down and fallen, but we have risen and are established. Save Yahuwah, let the sovereign answer us in the day we call. So we see Yahuwah here remembering his people. He does remember all your offering. He remember what you have done for him. He remember your offerings. But he's also expecting that our attitude should be an attitude to remember him. Exactly as is said in the verse 7. Some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we remember the name of Yahuwah, our Elohim. Hannah remembered the name of Yahuwah, our Elohim. That's why she went to seek his face for healing. Are we remembering Yahuwah Elohim enough? We need to remember him, and we need to ask him to remember us. And you know, there's something so beautiful about this, written in the book of Malachi. This is Malachi. I don't know if you were aware of this. Most probably you are. But let's take a look in the book, in the chapter 3 of the book of Malachi. Malachi in Hebrew. My messenger means. Let's read from the verse 16 to 18. And you will notice the connection, and it's a beautiful one, about remembering Yahuwah and Yahuwah remembering us. It says, 16 to 18. Listen to this carefully in the verse 16. Then shall those who fear Yahuwah speak to one another, and Yahuwah listens and hears, and a book of remembrance be written before him, of those who fear Yahuwah and those who think upon his name. And they shall be mine, said Yahuwah Sebaot, on the day that I prepare a treasured possession. And I shall spare them as a man spares his own son who serves him. Then you shall again see the difference between the righteous and the wrong, between one who serves Elohim and one who does not serve him. So, a book of remembrance, Yahuwah has a book of memories. Yahuwah has a book of remembrance. And who is going to be and who is in the book of remembrance? Those who fear Yahuwah, those who think upon his name, those who remember Yahuwah. So, you know, if we remember Yahuwah, we are going to be in his book. And if we are in his book, he's going to remember us. So it's working in the two ways direction. So if we pray Yahuwah, if we pray to Yahuwah and we ask him to remember us, and we are following the step of Mashiach, what we are going to have and what we are going to get is exactly what Hannah got, is the removal of the sadness from the spirit, the removal of the bitterness of heart, and the transformation from that sorrow into joy. You know, that's the powerful thing of remembering Yahuwah, because he will remember us. So, you know, there's something even more deeper that I want to share with you, and I think, yes, we have enough time. We have 35 minutes. And I'm sticking in the chapter 1 because this is the main insights that I have to share with you all so far. We are going to read the chapter 2 anyways. But, you know, back on 2017, for some of you that have been following the videos and here in this channel, Light to the Nations, back on 2017, when I was sharing the study series called the Last Day series, I was speaking about the identity of the woman of Revelation chapter 12. And, you know, I was going in depth, in deeper details, you know, having witnesses in different places of the scriptures, in order to identify the identity of that woman. I'm not gonna speak about all the details of that study because, you know, for those of you that went through that videos back on 2017, maybe you remember that word. I think it was at least 4 parts of 1.5 hour each one. So it's a long study, but it's not because I did it that I'm gonna say this. But what the information and the insights over there are worth enough to spend the time. So you have not done it, I will invite you to go there and check the information over there, because especially that part of the series study is so important, it's so amazing. But what's my point? When I was studying about the identity of the woman of Revelation 12, I opened my understanding to see something. And then the way that I put this together back on that year It's amazing that it was 5 years ago already. It was about the tale. I put the title of The Tale of the Two Women. That's the way that I talk about in this, I think it was the 12th part of the study, The Tale of Two Women. And what's the Tale of Two Women all about? Basically, we see in the scripture at least 3 examples of a situation with 2 women. And the first example, in this tale of the 2 women, is the one from Sarah and Hagar. It was a similar situation. We have Sarah and Hagar. They had offspring from the Abraham. Until we know that there was a situation of persecution or a complex situation between the both of them. And we know that in that situation, in this tale of 2 women, Sarah and Hagar, the seed of Abraham came. The seed that was blessing was coming to bless the entire world, all the nations. This is the word of the promise of Yahuwah. And there is a second example, and the second example is with Rachel and Leah. This is Rachel and Leah. That also is part of the tale of 2 women. And we see the entire story when we were having a study in the book of Bereshit, Genesis, what was going on between them. It wasn't an easy situation. But also we see that there was something common here, is that the result of the part of this is that Joseph was part of the results of this situation. But there's a third example, and I'm getting too fast in some thoughts. There's a third example, and that third example is exactly what we see in this portion. The third example of the tale of 2 women is about Hannah and Peninnah, and we see exactly the same situation. And there is a factor that is common between all of these examples, between Sarah and Hagar, Rachel and Leah, and Hannah and Peninnah. The first, and actually 2 things. The first thing is that there was a promise of a child in the 3 examples. A promise of a child. The first one, in the case of Sarah, is the seed of Abraham that's going to bless all the nations. In the case of Rachel, it came Joseph, as I was speaking about. And we know Joseph, Yahusef in Hebrew, is a foreshadow of a melech, is a foreshadow of the king, is a foreshadow of Mashiach. And in the case of Hannah and Peninnah, we saw that, after the prayer of Hannah, she got a child. And that child is Samuel. And the Samuel is a foreshadow of a Shofet and a Navi. This is a judge and a prophet. And we know all of this somehow is pointing to Mashiach. Mashiach is the king. Mashiach is the judge. Mashiach is the prophet. Mashiach is the one bringing blessings to all the nations. He is the promised seed of Abraham. But there is a second thing that is common to all of this, is that basically all of these women were barren. Sarah was barren. Rachel was barren. And Hannah was barren. She were unable to bear childs. So, when we think in Hannah in this case, and I will connect at the end what's my thought in this case with Hannah, we understand that this situation of Hannah and the persecution she was facing is a foreshadow of the tale of the 2 women that is speaking about in the scripture. And remember, I did this study as part of the identity of the woman of Revelation 12. So where we find a similar description of a tale of 2 women in the scripture, and let's go there. I'm checking my notes from the past here. Let's go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 49. Chapter 54. And we're going to read it entirely because it's an amazing passage. And even if we take more time in Virtual House Church, it doesn't matter. If you can stay longer, I can stay longer. I think it's important to repeat this part of the study because it's totally connected to the portion that we are checking. And also just to understand how Yahuwah is speaking to us even in these stories, that we can take so much insights and so much perils, as we were discussing before, but also speaking in a more profound meaning in order to understand the foreshadow of things to come. So it will take longer, we will do it. If you can stay, that will be a blessing. So let's read it together. It says in the chapter 54 of Yeshayahu, Isaiah, verse 1, and we're going to read until the 17. It says, "Sing, O barren one." So we see here, we have the first key, is a barren woman. "See, O barren one, you who did not bear, break forth into singing and cry aloud. You have not been in labor, for the children of the deserted one are more than the children of the married woman." So here we see the tale of two women. We see a barren woman, and we see a woman that is married and has children. Exactly the same thing that we see in the situation of Hannah and Peninnah, and we see in the other situations of Sarah and Hagar, and also in the situation of Rachel and Leah. So let's continue reading. Put yourself in the profound meaning of this story of Hannah, based on what we are reading in the book of Yeshayahu. And it says in the verse 2, "Enlarge the place of your tent," is talking to the barren woman. "Enlarge the place of your tent, and let them stretch out the curtains of your dwellings. Spare not, lengthen your cords, and strengthen your stakes. For you shall break forth to the right and to the left, and your seed inherit the nations, and make the deserted cities inhabited. Do not fear, for you shall not be put to shame, not hurt, you shall not be humiliated. For the shame of your youth you shall forget, and not remember the reproach of your widowhood anymore." You know, I just had a glimpse when I was reading this. Can you imagine that Abba was speaking in the same way to Hannah? You know, Hannah was so bitter, and Yahuwah is so compassionate, that I have no doubt in my heart that the very same words that we are reading here for this barren woman is what most probably Abba was speaking to the heart of Hannah. How a heart cannot get healed by listening those words, by listening those promises. It's up to us only to open our heart and to get closer to Yahuwah in order to receive the same promises and the same words. You know, Yahuwah is so wonderful. You know, so wonderful that even he's saying in the verse 4, "Do not fear, for you shall not be put to shame, not hurt, you shall not be humiliated. For the shame of your youth you shall forget, and not remember the reproach of your widowhood anymore." He's so compassionate. And you know, we need to learn to be exactly like him, to look with his eyes in any situation. You know, that's the only way that we are going to be able to find shalom, the real shalom that the world cannot give us, the real shalom that is coming from the kingdom of Yahuwah. The only way to have it is by having his character, by acting as he does, by having the same compassionate eye. Let's continue reading. Verse 5. "For your maker is your husband." So there is a marriage relationship between Yahuwah and this barren woman that is speaking about in the book of Yeshayahu, Isaiah. "Yahuwah Sebaot is his name, and the set apart one of Israel is your Redeemer. He is called Elohim of all the earth. For Yahuwah has called you like a woman forsaken and grieved in spirit, like a wife of youth when you were refused, declares your Elohim. For a little while I have forsaken you, but with great compassion I shall gather you. In an overflow of wrath I hid my face from you for a moment, but with everlasting loving commitment I shall have compassion on you, said Yahuwah your Redeemer. For it is the waters of Noach to me, in that I have sworn that the waters of Noach would never again cover the earth. So have I sworn not to be wroth with you, not to rebuke you. For though the mountains be removed, and the hills be shaken, my loving commitment is not removed. Sorry for that. My loving commitment is not removed from you, nor is my covenant of peace shaken, said Yahuwah, who has compassion on you. O you afflicted one, tossed with storm and not comforted, see, I am setting your stones in antimony, and shall lay your foundations with sapphires, and shall make your battlements of rubies, your gates of crystal, and all your walls of precious stones. And all your children taught by Yahuwah, and the peace of your children great. In righteousness you shall be established, far from oppression, for you shall not fear, and far from ruin, for it does not come near you. See, they shall indeed assemble, but not because of me. Whoever shall assemble against you falls for your sake. See, I myself have created the blacksmith who blows the coals in the fire, who brings forth an instrument for his work, and I have created the waster to destroy. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue which rises against you in judgment you shall prove wrong. This is the inheritance of the servants of Yahuwah, and the righteousness from he, declares Yahuwah. So, the entire story of Hannah is a foreshadow of the woman that Yeshayahu received by revelation from Yahuwah. The same way that Hannah was feeling is the same way that this barren woman of Yeshayahu chapter 54 is feeling about. And the restoration that Hannah received is the same restoration that we see being described in this book and in this chapter. And who is giving us, we have some glimpse here of, or some insights, some inputs in the description, just to understand what is the woman that is talking about. And, it's just a matter to read the verse 11 and the 12 in order to understand who is that woman, the barren woman. O you afflicted one, tossed with storm and not comforted, see, I am setting your stones in antimony, and shall lay your foundations with sapphire. Who has foundations with sapphire, and shall make your battlements of rubies, precious stones? I know you know the answer. But let's continue and let's read, because a person with more knowledge than me, he was able to understand the tale of two women many years and centuries before what I received from Abba back in 2017. And he wrote about in the book of Galatians. So let's go to the book of Galatians, chapter 4, verse 19 to 27. And it says the following: My little children, for whom I am again in birth pains until Mashiach is formed in you. Even now I wish to be present with you now to change my voice, for I have doubts about you. Say to me, you who wish to be under Torah, you do not hear the Torah? For it has been written that Abraham had two sons, one by a female servant, the other by a free woman, the tale of two women. But he who was of the female servant was born according to the flesh, and he of the free woman through promise. This is allegorical, for these are the two covenants, one indeed from Mount Sinai, which brings forth slavery, which is Hagar. For this Hagar is Mount Sinai in Arabia, and correspond to Jerusalem, which now is, and is in slavery with her children. But the Jerusalem above is free, which is the mother of us all. For it has been written, Rejoice, O barren, you who do not bear. Break forth and shout, you who do not have birth pains. For the deserted one has many more children than she who has a husband. So Paul understood the tale of two women, and he was talking about that and writing about that. And he was comparing the barren woman being the new Jerusalem, and the woman married with many children, the Jerusalem that it now is, the earthly Jerusalem. And we are being invited by Yahuwah through Yahushua HaMashiach to be part of the New Jerusalem. We are children. It is written there. Is the mother of us all. We are children of the New Jerusalem. So, what's the picture about this? And I'm speaking more in details about this study. As I told you in the last day series, I will really invite you to take a look on this, because you will be blessed in all the details that I'm speaking about, and the Ruach was speaking to me that I was sharing with you about the relationship with New Jerusalem, and how we can understand even the giving of Shmuel to Hannah as a foreshadow of Mashiach, and the relationship of Mashiach with the New Jerusalem. But before stopping there, I want to share with you an additional passage that I like it so much, because it reflects somehow the same situation of the tale of the two women, the barren woman, New Jerusalem, and the married woman, the Jerusalem of now, with the same that happened with Hannah. And this is in the same book of Yeshayahu, Isaiah, chapter 49. And this is a wonderful passage. Let's read from verse 13 to verse 26. And it says the following: Sing, O heavens, rejoice, O earth, and break out in singing, O mountains. For Yahuwah shall conform his people and have compassion on his afflicted ones. But Zion, and Zion is synonym of the New Jerusalem, but Zion says, Yahuwah has forsaken me, and Yahuwah has forgotten me. Would a woman forget her nursing child, and not have compassion on the son of her womb? Though they forget, I never forget you. See, I have inscribed you in the palm of my hands. Your walls are always before me. Your sons shall hurry. Your destroyers are those who lay you waste, depart from you. Lift up your eyes round about and see. All of them gather together and come to you. As I live, declares Yahuwah, you shall put on all of them as an ornament, and bind them on you as a bride does. For your wastes, and your deserted places, and the land of your destruction, shall soon be too narrow for the inhabitants, while those who swallowed you up are far away. The sons of your bereavement shall yet say in your ears, the place is too narrow for me, make room for me to live. And you shall say in your heart, who has brought forth this for me? Since I am bereaved, and barren, and exiled, and wandering to and fro, and who reared them? See, I was left alone. From where did this come from? This woman was barren. This woman has no child. She didn't know from where all these children are coming. Those children are you and me. It's the same that happened to Hannah. She was barren. Yahuwah gave her a child, the promise of a child. Let's continue. Thus said the Master Yahuwah, see, I lift my hand up to the nations, and set up my banner for the peoples, and they shall bring your sons in their arms, and your daughters carried on their shoulders. And sovereigns shall be your foster fathers, and their sovereignesses your nursing mothers. They bow down to you with their faces to the earth, and lick up the dust of your feet. And you shall know that I am Yahuwah. Those who wait for me shall not be ashamed. Is prey taken from the mighty, and the captives of the righteous delivered? Yet thus said Yahuwah, even the captives of the mighty are taken away, and the prey of the ruthless is delivered. And I strive with him who strives with you, and I save your children. And I shall feed those who oppress you with their own flesh, and let them drink with their own blood as sweet wine. All flesh shall know that I am Yahuwah. I, Yahuwah, am your Savior and your Redeemer, the Mighty One of Yaakov. That's the promise that Yahuwah, is given to those are part of New Jerusalem. I cannot expand here more because it's more or a deeper meaning about the tale of the two women. We see New Jerusalem being that barren woman, but also there is a role for the current Jerusalem as part of the second part. In the tale of the two women, there's two women for sure. One's the barren, the other the married. So, and both of them has a role. So, it's not the time to expand on that. I owe that part of the study actually, now that I remember. But on top of that, there is something that is connected between the physical Jerusalem of today, and you can see it by reading what we just saw, and the New Jerusalem from above. And we know that that New Jerusalem will come from the heaven in order to be established here on earth. So when we see the story of Hannah, we need to keep in mind that the more profound meaning is exactly this. And by understanding this, that the story of Hannah and Peninnah and Hannah being barren, it means all of this. And we see what happened with Hannah. Can you imagine what joy she felt when she knew that she was having a child? Most probably she remembered all the sadness, all the bitterness that she went through. Maybe she remembered the prayer that she lifted up to Yahuwah. But in that moment, when she knew that she was having a child, the joy that she felt was something not able to describe. And can you imagine how much more joy she felt when she saw for the first time Shmuel? So I just want you to think, now that we understand that this profound meaning, the story of Hannah and Peninnah, means for us and for the New Jerusalem. And it's not easy to understand because somebody really important mentioned it. Let's go and read his words. Let's go to the book of John, Yahuchanan, chapter 16, verse 20 to 22. So Yahushua said the following: Truly, truly, I say to you, that you shall weep and lament, but the world shall rejoice. And you shall be grieved, but your grief shall become joy. The woman was grieved when she is in labor, because her hour has come. But as soon as she has given birth to the child, she no longer remembers the affliction, for joy that a man was born into the world. And you therefore have grief now, but I shall see you again, and your heart shall rejoice, and no one takes your joy away from you. That joy is coming for New Jerusalem. That joy is coming for all of us. That joy is coming in the same way that Hannah was feeling that joy when she saw Shmuel. That joy will come when we'll see Yahushua face to face. He said that, and nobody is going to be able to take away that joy from us. So, I want to read the chapter 2, and because it's important and beautiful, the prayer of Hannah. But what I felt in my heart to share with you was mostly that, brothers and sisters. In every aspect of the scripture, we need to know that there are at least a second level, a more profound level, and this understanding of what it means, the story between Hannah and Peninnah, and this correlate to the plan of redemption and salvation from Yahuwah from the very beginning is so beautiful, because we can understand how that sorrow and that persecution will go away. No, no more tears, no more bitterness. It will be pure joy and shalom. So let's read together the chapter 2. It's from the verse 1 to the 21. And I will make my comments here as soon as I feel something to share with you. And Hannah prayed and said, "My heart rejoiced in Yahuwah. My horn was being hid in Yahuwah. My mouth is open wide over my enemies. For I have rejoiced in your deliverance. There is no one set apart like Yahuwah. For there is no one besides you. There is no rock like our Elohim. Do not multiply words so proudly. Let no arrogance come from your mouth. For Yahuwah is an el of knowledge, and by him deeds are weighed. Bows of the mighty are broken, and those who stumble shall be girded with strength. The satisfied have hired themselves out for bread, and the hungry have ceased. Even the barren has borne 7, and she who has many children pines away. Yahuwah puts to death and makes alive. He brings down to Sheol and raises up. She's talking about resurrection, so far, let's continue reading. I will make my comment at the end. Yahuwah makes poor and makes rich. He brings low and lift up. He raises the poor from the dust. He lifts the needy from the dunghill, to sit with princes and make them inherit a throne of esteem. For the support of the earth belongs to Yahuwah, and he has set the word upon them. He guards the feet of his lovingly committed ones, but the wrong are silent in darkness, for man does not become mighty by power. Those who oppose Yahuwah are shattered. From the heavens he thunders against them. Yahuwah judges the ends of the earth, and gives strength to his sovereign, and exalts the horn of his anointed. Every time that I read this prayer, for me, Hannah is speaking about the good news. It's a summary of the good news. It's talking about resurrection. It's talking about restoration. It's talking about the kingdom, the coming kingdom. It's talking about the coming king. It's talking about judgment. It's talking about the inheritance and the promises for those that love and seek Yahuwah. So let's keep that prayer in our heart, because she prayed for joy. We will pray in the same way. Now, let me continue with the last part of this chapter. And Elkanah went to his house at Ramah, but the youth served Yahuwah before Eli the priest. And the sons of Eli were sons of Elial. They did not know Yahuwah. And the ruling of the priest with the people was that when any man slaughtered a slaughtering, the priest's servant shall come with a 3-pronged flesh hook in his hand, while the meat was cooking, and shall strike it into the basin, or kettle, or cauldron, or pot, and the priest would take for himself all that the flesh hook brought up. Thus they did in Shiloh to all Israel who came there. Also before they burned the fat, the priest's servant would come and say to the man who slaughtered, "Give meat for roasting to the priest, for he does not accept cooked meat from you but raw." And if the man said to him, "Let the fat be burned up first, then take as much as your being desires," he would then answer him, "But give it to me now, and if not, I shall take it by strength." And the sin of the young men was very great before Yahuwah, for the men despised the offering of Yahuwah. But Shmuel was attending before Yahuwah, a youth, wearing a linen shoulder garment. And his mother would make him a little robe, and bring it to him year by year, when she came up with her husband to slaughter the yearly slaughtering. And Eli blessed Elkanah and his wife, and said, "Yahuwah give you offspring from this woman, for the one she prayed for, and gave to Yahuwah." Then they would go to their own home. And Yahuwah visited Hannah, so that she conceived and bore 3 sons and 2 daughters, while the young Shmuel grew before Yahuwah. At the end, the story of Hannah is so beautiful, she was even more blessed by Yahuwah. And regarding the sons of Eli, we will speak more about that next week in the next portion. when I saw this, and with this I'm gonna finish my insights. I just remember what was is written in the book of Yehezkel, in the chapter 34. Let me read from verse 1 to 6. And the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, Son of man, prophesy against the shepherds of Israel. Prophesy and say to them, Thus said the Master Yahuwah to the shepherds, Woe to the shepherds of Israel who have been feeding themselves. Should not the shepherds feed the flock? You eat the fat, and you put on the wool. You slaughter the fatlings. You do not feed the flock. You have not strengthened the weak, nor have you healed the sick, nor bound up the broken, nor brought back the straying, nor sought what was lost. But you have ruled them with might and harshness. And they were scattered, because there was no shepherd, and they became food for all the beasts of the field when they were scattered. My sheep wandered through all the mountains, and on every high hill, and my sheep were scattered over all the face of the earth, and no one was seeking or searching for them. You know, there's nothing new under the sun. We see that this happening with the sons of Eli in the past. We see many other examples happening in the scripture. We see this happening in our days. But the truth is that we have the good shepherd. And that's Yahushua HaMashiach. He said, I am the good shepherd. And the good shepherd lay his life down for his sheep. So no matter that we are surrounded maybe from people that are not helping and acting as a new man or a new woman should act, we need to remember that we have Yahushua HaMashiach, the good shepherd, and he's taking care of us in the same way that he's taking care of Hannah in this case, in this story, in this amazing story of Hannah and Shmuel. So, brothers and sisters, this is what I had to share with you today. I hope that this first portion of the book of Shmuel has been a blessing to all of you. You know, I truly know that what's coming on the coming portions is going to be so wonderful, because this book is an amazing book. And I really expect you to join me in the coming weeks to keep studying this book, to keep searching for truth and keep searching for more understanding in this cycle that we are just starting today. So once again, thank you so much for joining me. You know, it's more than 100 people currently watching this broadcast, and that's a blessing. So I really hope to see you, all of you, next week in a new Shabbat. But you know, I was forgetting something before ending. I had a surprise for you. I told you at the beginning. And this is a surprise that it wasn't prepared by me. It's a surprise that was prepared by Jake. And we were talking about moving from bitterness and sadness to joy. And I think what I'm going to share with you now, it will bring joy to your heart. So let me share this with you. I'm sure you will enjoy it. So here we go.
My son, listen to the words I speak, the truth, it's calling. Hearken to the voice above to keep from falling. When the wicked call out your name to find and entice you, then you must stay strong, do not follow them. Men in high places controlling the masses, the words that they speak will be hardening your heart. Question your burden, for the yoke is easy, your pain and your trials will bring you to light. All in or nothing, please wake up, you're dreaming, the time is now short, alarm in your heart. Purpose beginning, complacency ending, but heartless, the lawless never look up. Wake up the people, all the blind sitting under the steeples, so many lies and inherited evils. Wake up the people, the blind sitting under the steeples. So many lies and inherited evils. Living and dying, their insights colliding, they're finding their way through the shadow of day. You must not hearken to the voice of prophets if their words distract you from the perfect way. Who then will guide you, the truth that's inside you, the words of Most High, hidden inside. Then Yah will lead you, but first He must free you from love of the world, which glitters and shines. Wake up the people, all the blind sitting under the steeples, all the lies and inherited evils. Wake up the people, all the blind sitting under the steeples, all the lies and inherited evils. Buried like gold, blind lose their soul, must break their hold, escape your asylum. Prisons and minds, locked into time. Don't fall in line, escape your asylum. Wake up the people, all the blind sitting under the steeples, all the lies and inherited evils. Wake up the people, all the blind sitting under the steeples, all the lies and inherited evils. Wake up the people, all the blind sitting under the steeples, all the lies and inherited evils. Wake up the people, all the blind sitting under the steeples, all the lies and inherited evils.
You know, what an amazing song. You know, I had the chance to hit part of it before the broadcast because Jake sent me an email early today, sending me the link and telling me that I'm free to share it here in Virtual House. So I heard part of the song and I love it immediately. It's so amazing. And you know, now I was taking I put more attention on the lyrics, and I'm so amazed on how the Ruach connect us all that I wasn't aware that was the lyric before. And even in the lyrics said, Jake, about the prison of the mind. And this is exactly what we were discussing today. The inner battle that we need to renew our mind. We need to get free from that prison of our mind and renew our thoughts, renew our mind in order to move ahead in the kingdom of Yahuwah and to be like Him. So, you know, this so nice song. Most probably Jake is going to share it in his channel. You know, let's support Jake. And I think they are bringing so much joy to our hearts. They are doing all these efforts to bring all these songs to all the people of Yahuwah that we are have the ability to listen to them. You know, sometimes I'm doing video editing, things like that. I can tell you it's not easy. It's a lot of effort. It's a lot of time. It's very time consuming. And if you have the chance to support them in this work, please do, because they are blessing all of us by doing this for Yahuwah. So try to support them. Just looking into the video, going to Jake's channel, check again, share this song with more. That's at least the least of the thing we can do in order to support them in this activity. So, you know, I think we will start playing this song more often here in Virtual House Church. It's a nice way to finish or to have it in the middle of the broadcast. But what we cannot replace, and that's for sure, what we cannot replace is the amazing song that they prepared for the Aaronic blessing. And this is so beautiful, and we will continue, you know, until we have Virtual House Church, you know, we will continue playing this song at the end. So, brothers and sisters, with this, I'm going to close. Thank you so much again for joining me. It's been a blessing. I hope you have been blessed by this study. And remember, next week, for those of you that are in the US, we will continue 1 hour later with Virtual House Church. So I expect and I hope to see you all of you once again next week in a new Shabbat, in a new portion in this virtual house church. So may Yahuwah be with you all during this week, new week, and may Yahuwah be with you all in this new year, no matter when you are starting the year. May Yahuwah be with you all. So have a nice Shabbat, a nice week. See you next week in a new virtual house church. Shalom.
יברכך יחוה וישמרך יאר יחוה פניו לך וחונקה יישא יחוה פניו לך לך שלום ישייכו פניו לך ויעשה לך שלום ויעשה לך שלום ויעשה לך שלום Yahuwah bless you and keep you. Yahuwah make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Yahuwah make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace.
Yahuwah te bendiga y te guarde. Yahuwah haga resplandecer su rostro en ti y tenga de ti compasión. Yahuwah alce su rostro sobre ti